Well, howdy guys, this is why Vice and Vox and BuzzFeed and Attention and Insider and Bustle and Hearst and Mashable are gonna fail. Or why I think they're gonna fail at least. Or why most digital media companies will probably fail in the next 5 to 10 years. And the main reason is that in the digital media space, there's two main ways to make money. That's to have a brand and then sell content around that brand name to other brands, which would be, I have a brand, a company, Vice, and I have a series about something, and that brand and series is respected enough in the public opinion that other brands and companies want to be associated with, so they can sell ad spots to that company. And that's a pretty classic way of making money in the digital media space, is to build a respectable brand and then populate it with content and sell ads around that content. The second way, which is a slightly more modern way of doing things, especially on distributed platforms. Distributed platforms is just a fancy word for all the social media platforms we use on a daily basis, like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. And that second way of making money that news media companies do is something called like pre-roll ads or mid-roll ads. And this is particularly important for the way companies have been running and making money with that type of advertising on Facebook. So I'm going to tell a little story here. About 3 or 4 years ago, Facebook didn't really have any videos on it. And they wanted to pivot to video. They recognized that Google had YouTube, and YouTube was massive, and it had all this video content on it. And Facebook wanted to compete against Google/YouTube. And so they launched a video player. And a way to incentivize people to upload videos or companies to upload videos on Facebook was to kind of get in bed with them a little bit. And the way they did that was by counting views as 3 seconds. So when Facebook initially rolled out their video player and shopped it around to all the digital media companies like Vice and BuzzFeed and Business Insider and ATTN and even the Washington Post and Fox News and NBC, all these places that are still publishing on digital media, they said upload the videos, and then what they would do on Facebook is they would count a view after 3 seconds, and they would autoplay that video in the newsfeed, and they would autoplay it on silent. So when you have videos in your newsfeed that are autoplaying on mute, and they count a view after 3 seconds, it's pretty hard not to just get views on those videos. And media publishers took massive advantage of this. They just started cranking out content. And it's why you saw a lot of media publishers start making really short form content, because suddenly volume mattered a lot. Forget building a brand so much, especially a respectable brand. We'll put that aside as a media company. We want volume of content because we can rake in the views on Facebook. And so you started seeing a lot of minute-long videos on Facebook. And these minute-long videos on Facebook would do really, really well. Millions and millions of views. And media publishers would take these thousands upon thousands of videos that were getting millions of views on Facebook and then monetize them. They'd put a pre-roll ad on them or a mid-roll ad on them. Or they would use that number over the name of their brand to sell to advertisers. So I'll just pick on Business Insider. So what Business Insider would do is they would say, rather than like, we have a respectable brand, you should advertise with us because our demographic is young, financially interested people, we are cranking out videos about, ADHD toys that have Kickstarters, and they're getting millions of views. In fact, we hate making all these videos that have millions of views. if you advertise with us, you're going to get millions of views for your product. And advertisers bought. They bit the hook, line, and sinker. And money was rolling in there for a while. As long as Facebook kept their video views at 3 seconds. Now, for context, YouTube does not autoplay videos. Nobody watches YouTube videos on mute. And YouTube counts a view after 30 seconds. So 30 seconds and 3 seconds is a massive difference. That's just for comparison's sake, to show you how weaselly Facebook was being about the way they were counting views. Now you can say, why did Facebook do this? Well, both the publishers had an incentive. The publishers had the incentive of like, wow, the video views are, the video watch time is low to get a view, 3 seconds. Look at all the views we can get. We can turn around and sell it to advertisers. And Facebook had an incentive to keep that like 3 second rule because it incentivized a lot of people to upload their videos onto Facebook. So they were just like, well, it was kind of Facebook and media publishers were kind of in bed together. They were both benefiting. Facebook was getting to build up this big library to compete with YouTube, and publishers were getting to have all these videos with millions of views, which were really just millions of people scrolling through videos on mute and not watching them, but getting counted as a view, and selling that to advertisers. And recently, Facebook has changed their algorithm. For one, they're starting now to count views as like 10 seconds. And two, they've constricted the pipeline down at what videos will be shared to people in the newsfeed, specifically publishers. So like if an individual shares a video, that'll still be seen by their friends on Facebook. But publishers don't have the same reach as individuals do anymore. That's partly due to the election and partly due to just Facebook has other interests now that they have a big, massive library. But all that being said, a lot of day-to-day video producers, people that work in media, journalists, heads of video, heads of audience development, don't think about this too much, at least from my observation. And that they were cash counted in on this Facebook scheme. And at the neglect of the brand. And in fact, if you look at the top Facebook publishers, a lot of times they're goofy things like Ladbible, Unilad, Western Journal. You know, they have no brand recognition. They're making their money solely off viral content. And even big digital media companies like Attention or Insider or Mashable or Bustle or Vox. Vox I'll give an exception to, but most of these digital media companies have neglected their brand and their credibility at the expense of volume of views and that money they're getting from distributed platforms like Facebook. And so as Facebook continues to shrink down their algorithm and that pipeline in which they can reach an audience, they're going to be left scrambling. They're going to miss budget projections, revenue projections, and they're going to start laying off people. And you've seen this already in the past year. If you look at the reportings, you know, most of the major digital media companies have missed their revenue projections by hundreds of millions of dollars. And my guess is, you know, quite a few of them will kind of go bankrupt. Mike is on his way out. They were a classic, you know, kind of canary in the coal mine of a digital company that was way over leveraged on distributed platforms, raking in the views, but had no control over that distribution pipeline. If Facebook wanted to change their algorithm, suddenly their views dried up. When their views dried up, their advertising dollars dried up because they couldn't turn around and sell those views to advertisers, and everybody gets laid off. So what will happen? Most of those digital media companies, or a sizable amount, will disappear into the ether. And I think an alternative solution to some of the bigger ones is that you might see a merger of sorts as a way to compete against the big distribution platforms like Facebook and YouTube. Because right now, each of the media publishers, although big, like Vice, is still too small to really leverage itself against YouTube or Facebook or Instagram and say, hey, you know, you better show our videos to people that subscribe to our page or that are on Facebook. Otherwise, we're taking our content off. Facebook can kind of just tell them to, you know, shove off. But if you were to see a couple of them merge together, buy each other out, like if BuzzFeed and Vox merged together and also acquired Business Insider, they might be a big enough media company, at which point they could negotiate with Facebook. So I would keep your eye out and see if some digital media mergers come down the pipeline here, especially as I think a few of them wanted to IPO recently in the past and then couldn't because they missed their projections. But yeah, that's my assessment of the landscape of the digital media realm and why I think most digital media companies will go bankrupt or disappear here in the near future. Anyway, it's just a thought, you guys. Have a good night.